Yes, sneaker reselling is still possible in 2022. And in this video, I'm gonna completely break it down for you, how you can start sneaker reselling and become a sneaker plug. So in today's culture, bro, hype sneakers, like, you know what they mean. They're everything. They pretty much the golden standard. With even most of the most famous and rich people you see wearing sneakers and coveted them themselves. But what's also become even more cool is becoming a sneaker plug. Like, you probably see the people on Instagram flexing over 100 pairs while you probably on an 8-month L streak on the sneakers app. But don't worry, I'm here to break down the different avenues that you could take to start sneaker reselling. Now, I'm gonna tell you how sneaker resellers make their money, right? If you don't know, they buy the shoes for retail, right? And that's the hard part, which we're gonna get to. But they buy, and I'm talking about resellers as a whole, buy a huge chunk of them, which is why the average person can't get them. Now, once the shoes are off the market, which is usually instantly because all the resellers get them, the demand for the product just hadn't been met yet because the resellers, once again, at least have a third of them. But since the demand hadn't been met, the value goes up. And that's why you see a shoe even like this one, the patent bread, retail for $170, but go for about $380 in my size. And if you really get in the sneaker game, then you'll see even crazier margins than that. So that's how resellers make their money. So first, I'm gonna address one of the most common questions I'm asked about sneaker reselling, and that's how much money do I need to start? And honestly, there's two paths that I think you could still take, that anybody could still get in with, that I'm gonna break down to you. And it honestly depends both of those paths. All right, so the first path, and this is the Flex app, right? This is in-store raffles. This is the footwork route, all right? And so to me, this is the most practical. This is the one that I think anybody in America could do with as little as $100. And let me explain. See, the Flex app is Foot Locker, Champs, all the foot sites. There's like sort of like their rewards program, right? And the way it works is you get points for making purchases there. For every $1 you spend, you get 100 flex points is what they're called. And so where it gets crazy is the accounts with the higher number of flex points, they're the ones who win these raffles when these shoes come out on Saturdays, right? So if you have the Foot Locker app and you go to releases and you go to reserve these releases, if you're not hitting, it's probably because you don't have enough flex points. And so when you think about it, ultimately programs like that actually do cater to resellers, right? Because realistically, and it's debatable, and this varies by region, right? You need 100 to 500K flex points in order to just consistently be winning releases, right? Like consistently picking up shoes on Saturday, right? And that just depends on the area you're in. If you're in New York, Chicago, I'm gonna even put LA, Miami, I'm pretty sure you need a million or more in order to guarantee that you're gonna hit on a lot of those releases. And so if $1 is 100 flex points, then that means 100K flex points is about $1,000 spent. In the average, and the reason why this caters to resellers, because the average person who wears sneakers isn't spending money at Foot Locker if they're not hitting on releases. They're not spending $1,000 to $5,000 in a given year at Foot Locker for no reason. So you kind of see how that kind of caters to resellers. Now, the way to build that up, right? Like, cause now you're like, well, how do I build that up? Number one, outside of all the shopping you do there, you know what I'm saying? Like for me, I buy my Nike socks there, shirts, Crep Protect, I buy it there. So I get flex points here and there, but what you can do is that take whatever capital you have, go buy what they do have, right? Like whether it's some Air Force Ones or whatever. Like this is gonna actually be the time that you're gonna be able to learn like the sneaker market and what's selling online, because you know, go in there and maybe see what some of those Adidas are reselling for on eBay, right? And you don't necessarily have to make profit here. You're trying to break even because you see that the goal is for me to be hitting on releases every weekend in the future. You understand that the flex points, getting those flex points, selling whatever you got, even if you're breaking even, and even if you're really dedicated, you'll even accept a little bit of a loss because once again, you know, long term that, hey, I'm gonna reap the benefits. So of course, like I say, the more startup capital you have, the better, but you could literally start this with $100, right? Go in with $100, buy a pair of Air Force Ones for $100, sell them on eBay for $100, take your $100 back and go back, and you do that 10 times and you'll have 100,000, and you'll start to be able to hit, even if it's not on the just the super limited, super hype stuff, you're gonna start to at least start to hit on the general releases, and that's better than not hitting on nothing. And you're going to be able to sell those, right, even if it's not for that big of a profit. So how people get multiples this way is that, you know, Foot Locker, Champs, Foot Action, Kids Foot Locker, that's 4 stores. If you win 2 pairs, a grade school pair and a men's pair at both, let's say you enter for Foot Locker, you enter for Champs, you enter for Foot Action, right? If you hit a men's and a GS pair on each one of those, you know what I'm saying, then that's 6 pairs right there. So now you're starting to see how people use that route to hit multiples, and they're the ones picking up shoes every Saturday, bro. My homie Press from the One Sneakers is one of the masters at that, and I'm gonna drop a link to his channel below. And now, as far as the footwork, you got to hit the in-store raffles. You still got to hit, you know what I'm saying, you still got to get on the sneakers app, because ultimately what you have to do is increase your chances. Enter as many raffles online, in store as you can, because ultimately getting hype sneakers is hard, and it's mostly about luck, unless you're a botter, which is the second path that's still available for someone to take. Now, this one's a little different, right? Because contrary to a lot of people's beliefs, botting is not new at all. The concept of botting is not new. There's actually always been software that people use to buy limited items. It's just that it didn't affect our culture, so we didn't care. Now, for my people who don't know, who aren't hip, a sneaker bot is basically software that you would run on a computer just like this, that people use to purchase limited, rare, all that type of stuff, items, right? And so the way a bot works is in most simplest terms, when you go on your phone and you go on sneakers, right, the Nike servers, the way their computer sees you as one person, right? Well, with me botting, I can essentially clone myself hundreds of thousands of different sessions, and then boom, now I drastically increase my chances over you. And that's basically how bots work. And so, you ever been on the site, right, to buy some shoes and they sold out in 2 seconds, literally? That's because they were bought by bots that were set up the night before while you were sleeping. The owner of the bot was setting up this bot to, hey, at 9 o'clock sharp, go in, buy this item. This bot is faster than a human. It can check out on a website quicker than you can click, yes, I want to use my auto pay debit card that you already have saved. So that's actually one of the pros of botting, right? Because botting has its pros and cons, and that's one of the pros. Another pro is, of course, it helps you get multiple pairs, right? Because it's kind of cloning you. You can use the more card numbers you have, the more billing profiles you have, then boom, that's the more pairs you can cop. And I have more videos going more into depth on sneaker botting, but just to kind of cover the ways that you can do it for this video, yeah, sneaker botting is still one of those ways. Now, there's really 2 cons about sneaker botting, and number one is the most obvious, is that it can be a money pit, right? Like, before I actually checked out my first sneaker, I think I was in the hole like $900, right? So you have to buy proxies and all that stuff, which once again is another video. But outside of bots being costly, there's a pretty steep learning curve, because there's so much happening on the fly when a sneaker does drop that you kind of have to have a lot of experience to kind of be able to roll with that. Because as weird as it sounds, you still got to have a little luck on your side, even when you're botting, right? And I know that, and that's going to sound crazy, because bots themselves are crazy expensive, right? Like, just a good solid sneaker bot right now is going to cost you about $5,000. There's, of course, entry level ones, beginner ones that I actually recommend that are on the lower tier of $500, which is a good price for a sneaker bot. But there's even some that go as much for $20K. So when you think about the price of a sneaker bot and that is still not guaranteed, then yeah, now you can see that's a huge con, because it gets pretty risky. But if you have a low budget and you think botting is for you, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't try it out, because you can actually rent bot. And I actually, once again, recommend that before you buy a bot, you can actually rent a bot, try it out, see if it works for you on a drop, and then boom, you can either keep renting or you can end up buying it. Sneaker reselling in 2022, like I said, is for sure possible, bro. The roads are more narrow than what they were even a year ago. But however, if you got the heart, you got the will, you will succeed. And that's just facts, bro, because both these ways still make people money in the sneaker world. And now I'm actually doing a sneaker bot rental giveaway, right? So if you watch this video to the end, then that means that you already have an entry. So make sure you go to my Instagram to make sure you got your entry locked in. Also, you got a question for me, I got a link in the description where, hey, I'm guaranteed to answer whatever question you have. So I actually have some videos about sneaker botting, man. Meet me over in those videos. Love y'all. Let's get it.